8-year assault on your Second Amendment freedoms has come to a crashing end. I like taking the guns early. Take the guns first, go through due process second.
Well, I say go fuck yourself. Then ask the question, could I kill a man? I would enjoy myself. You can't disguise evil eyes that burn a hole in my head. This devil man and his master plan. We feel so misled, so I say, rise up, take all back. Rise up, take it all back. Rise up, hope you all understand. We got to take it all back again.
These people are not going to take it any longer. We will never give up. We will never concede. Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. But go home and go home in peace. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. You do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay.
What is up, everybody? So we're having our own little news event at my house. My next door neighbor caught his shed on fire, and the fire department is over right now. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Yeah, okay, everybody can hear me. Sweet. What is up? It is Friday, and we got a few news stories to get to, other than the one that is going on at my house. Looking at all the fire trucks outside. All right. We don't have a lot to go over today. It's been kind of busy. Me and Riddle have been all over town. It has been wicked hot. I don't know how hot it is where you're at, but here in Phoenix, we have record highs for this time of the year. Yesterday, I believe, was like 120. Today, I think they said it was going to be less than that, but when we were driving around in my truck, my thermometer in my truck said 120. So If it's 120 in June, I don't even want to know how hot it's going to be in August, because August is our hottest month all the time. It is going to be one hell of a summer. So, yay, global warming! Woo! I do believe in climate change. I just don't believe it's the same reason why a lot of people believe it. Once again, my climate change is mostly biblical. I believe in biblical climate change. However, might be a short evening catch up. I don't have too many news stories to get to, so we're gonna get to them here in a second. I think they got the fire contained next door, so that's good. But if all of a sudden people start scrambling outside, we might have to run. My next door neighbor is that freaking close to our house. It's uncomfortably close, to be honest. Anyway, that's the news event here. Other than that, we're going to be canning after the evening catch-up. Usually I would be like, hey, let's go play some Twitch. In fact, I do want to do a country karaoke night, and I've been coming up with some songs to play on that. I don't know. I doubt there's going to be much of an audience there, but I just like it. And me and Riddle have been thinking about going out and dancing or doing stuff like that in the bar, so it's kind of nice to be able to do that here at home as well. Anyway, let's get to it. Georgia poll auditors' notes reveal bungled procedures during the November 3rd election. A memo obtained by the Just the News, John Solomon, detailed the massive mishandling in the Atlanta area of the 2020 election as pressure mounts to further scrutinize the voting in Georgia's largest county. The 29-page unabridged notes submitted as a memo 10 days after the election by Stephen Hill's Strategies independent contractor Carter Jones broke down the period from November 2nd through November 7th, often to the very minute that he observed massive election integrity failures. Interesting. Among these things he witnessed in troubled Fulton County were the double counting of votes, insecure storage of ballots, possible violations of voter privacy, and the mysterious removal of election materials, according to the Just the News. He outlined the chaos of the November 2nd as sleepless election administrators scrambled to interpret the vague instructions from the office of the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, and other officials. At 11:12 p.m., for instance, Jones noted that a delay had been caused by someone walking off with the wrong suitcase full of poll pads intended for a College Park voting precinct SC11. This is all Greek to me. Jones appeared to note that there was no apparent chain of custody documentation showing who had walked off with the Bethune Elementary School's 2 bags of equipment. That means that a stranger just walked out with sensitive election materials, he wrote. Although the mistake was later rectified? Yeah. Although the mistake was later rectified, with the suitcases and several others found on a loading dock with seals still intact, it cost several hours of manpower. As Monday gave way to Tuesday, Jones again noted disorganized pile of materials and personally began organizing the precincts in alphanumerical order so that the delivery drivers could easily tell which was theirs in the wee hours of this morning. For hours after leaving, Jones returned to the warehouse to monitor the Election Day efforts. He noted the clash over precinct manager who was refusing to wear her mask and the Happy Faces staffing firm, which had been contracted in coordination with Democrat activist Stacey Abrams, wanting to ban her from work again despite her many years of polling place experience. At 4 p.m., he arrived at State Farm Arena to begin monitoring the preparations for the ballot counting. There, Jones reported jamming scanners and overflow of ballots that could not all fit in the secure black boxes, requiring them to be moved 2,000 at a time in rolling bins from a storage facility at least 7 blocks away on Pryor Street. This seems like a massive chain of custody problem, Jones noted. It is my understanding is that the ballots are supposed to be moved in numbered sealed boxes to protect them. He also noted the low motivation of government workers and that many were joking around until a Fulton County election official arrived to oversee the effort. Meanwhile, tensions between the polling workers and the GOP poll watchers devolved into heated conflicts. And the atmosphere of deep distrust further added to the added to the word list, Riddle Girl, tumultuous. Totally missed that one. Tumultuous process. Chaotic. While Jones was, I know what the word is, I just can't say it. Tumultuous. There we go. While Jones was at the relatively calm warehouse site, matters at the State Farm Arena spun further out of control. Around 10:30 p.m., it shut down its counting, claiming, according to many subsequent reports, of a broken water line, which was later to be revealed as an overflowing toilet. Raffensperger then ripped the Fulton County effort while facing fire for the delays, with media reporting that he said the county can't get anything right. Afterwards, Jones noted a palpable loss of morale in the warehouse, and that Fulton County Commission Chairman Rob Pitts was pissed. An hour after the supposed shutdown at State Farm, Jones noted that there was confusion about whether or not they're still scanning at State Farm, because there were reports the staff there told the rest of the staff and press to leave, but I'm still getting number reports, he quoted, even though everybody's gone. He arrived to find all the scanners still going, and two officials from the Secretary of State's office, General Counsel Ryan Germany and Deputy Secretary Jordan Fuchs, overseeing the process. Both were later exposed for their potential anti-Trump views. So they were the ones counting all these votes by themselves. Interesting. At 12:08 on November 4th, Jones sent a timestamp photo showing that all the scanners were working, contrary to media reports. He also noted that the Fulton officials who had shut down the counting had newly rescanned some ballots that had already been processed. The process gets no better. Hold up, that's wrong. It is unclear if these were the suitcases of stashed ballots that were later. That's an interesting way to end that sentence without a period or anything. I'm guessing it's the ones that were under the table. The process gets no better organization in the days that follow. Jones noted the first thing he awoke to around 9:30 a.m. Wednesday was the news of a possible drunken driving incident involving someone who was transporting the ballots. Received phone call that there was a single car accident involving a poll manager in Roswell later last night, and there are no open container of alcohol in the vehicle, he wrote. Okay. Some election materials are missing, but the runners had already moved the CFs with the day's voting information, he added. Still a big problem. He noted that a technician from Dominion Voting Systems took down all of the scanners as it began its upload to flash drives for adjudication, in violation of best practices. And he reported overhearing in an elevator two of the temp workers from Happy Faces saying they intended to fuck shit up. I must keep an eye on these two, Jones wrote. Perhaps this was a bad joke, but it was very poorly timed in the presence of a poll watcher. He also questioned the vetting practices that the company used to ensure it did not hire anybody who actually might try to undermine the election integrity. Although Raffensperger has since come under fire for his handling of election procedures, he claimed that the damning report, I'm kind of curious of why, he claimed that the damning report, which is only now has gone public, underscored the fact that his office had taken the necessary precautions. It is no secret that Fulton has had issues in their election department for decades, he told Just the News, which is why I insisted on a state monitor being present to be eyes and ears on the ground. However, a pro-Trump election integrity advocate at Amistad Project head Phil Klein cast doubt on that rosy portrayal. This reveals chaos caused by incompetence and, in some instances, willful violation of law in order to assist Mr. Biden, Klein told the outlet. This is consistent with the evidence we are finding in Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, despite efforts at intimidation by the Attorney General Garland. Amid reports over more chain of custody issues resulting in an inability to account for roughly 25% of Fulton's absentee ballots, Raffensperger announced this week that he would pursue a new investigation. New revelations that Fulton County is unable to produce all ballot drop boxes transfer documents will be investigated thoroughly, as we have with other counties that failed to follow Georgia's rules and regulations regarding drop boxes. That can't continue, said Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. All right. What's up, little girl? How you doing? We got a small crowd tonight. I don't know. Maybe people forgot I was going to do Friday. It's Friday, right? It's not Saturday? All right. It's Friday, everybody. Report: California labor union sent hundreds of paid activists to cure ballots in Arizona and Georgia. A whole heap of votes ended up being counted that would have been discarded otherwise, and a state ultimately decided by 10,457 votes. Far-left magazine The Nation became the latest media outlet to openly boast of corrupt efforts to manipulate the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. What? Okay. While writing to a sympathetic audience about the freight Acompi, the rag gloated in its latest cover story that a California-based labor union had been deployed to help cure ballots, and that the outcome in at least two crucial swing states, Arizona and Georgia, was no accident. The admission, first flagged by Red State, followed in the footsteps of Time, which admitted shortly after Democratic Joe Biden was installed in the White House that a cannibalistic clutch of conspirators had engaged in censorship, suppression, and disinformation campaigns to sway public sentiment, often exploiting crises such as the sniffles to achieve their overtly political ends. On Monday, however, the nation appeared to go a step further by finally acknowledging activist interference in the November 3rd voting effort, which involved using secretive tactics and legal loopholes to wage a Teamster-like voting intimidation campaign. Unite Here, an international union largely representing workers in the hospitality industry, was on a mission to knock on as many doors as possible to help flip Arizona blue for Joe Biden, wrote The Nation. The article spent considerable ink setting up the above-board canvassing efforts of the labor union, framing its strategy as something akin to any grassroots get-out-the-vote initiative. They played a key role in unseating Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio in 2016, after narrowly failing to defeat him 4 years earlier, it wrote, referencing the victory of radical leftist lawman Paul Pizzone, who was heavily funded by billionaire oligarch George Soros. Yeah, that's who our sheriff is now. They returned again to help Kristen Sinema win her U.S. Senate seat in 2018, it continued, and in the summer of 2020, they had their sights set on the biggest prize of all, Arizona's 11 electoral college votes, which they knew could prove pivotal in the presidential race. Despite the lingering threat of the sniffles, the union activists determined that door-to-door canvassing was worth the health risk to them and to the potential Democratic voters, since there was so much at stake. Our secret weapon has always been low turnout voters, Joseph Silva, the deputy operator director, told The Nation. And there was no other way to get them than at their doors. The union dispatched more than 300 activists from the LA area to join hundreds more in Arizona, receiving about $17 per hour plus benefits paid for by the union's 504c4 wing CASE, Central Arizona's for Sustainable Economy, action and its federal super PAC, the Worker Power PAC. Those canvassing efforts also gave way to voter registration pushes, in which the union boasted its efforts to help to sign up tens of thousands of voters in Maricopa County alone. Here, however, the activism appeared to become less transparent. Done largely out of the spotlight, their work was as crucial to turning Arizona blue in 2020 as the work of Stacey Abrams and Fair Fight was in Georgia, The Nation explained. The magazine went on to invoke suspicious Jim Crow talking points to justify these scrupulous methods. Given how the GOP in one state after another has worked since the election to make it harder for poor and minority residents to vote in future contests, the intensive in-person methods that Unite Here perfected in Arizona under the most trying of circumstances will be vital in upcoming elections if progressives are to succeed in the fate of the GOP's increasingly anti-democratic machinations, The Nation claimed. Yeah, the GOP is trying to stop, I guess, this from happening again. I don't know. It's going to be difficult to tell. Everybody got something going on. By the way, Sunday is Father's Day. I hope y'all are celebrating that. Maybe you're celebrating it a little bit early. I hope you are. With GOP-led legislators, including Georgia's, now scrambling to close the loopholes exploited during the 2020 race, some tactics used by the union have since been construed as bordering on bribery. When people said they were too hot to walk or drive to the mailbox to send in their ballots, some of the canvassers would offer them bottles of water, fans, or even handheld misters, the nation crowded. Yet nearly 4,000 words into their think piece, the magazine outlines an even more nefarious effort in the immediate aftermath of the election. With most of the networks declaring the result still too close to call, the union worked on a vital vote-curing effort, following up with people whose ballots were at risk of being discarded because if they had filled out a line incorrectly or had a signature on the form that didn't quite match the one in the county's file, the nation wrote it. With hundreds of Unite Here canvassers helping to cure several ballots each, a whole heap of votes ended up being counted that would have been discarded otherwise, and a state ultimately decided by 10,457 votes, it added. The union activists then shifted their sights to Georgia, conducting the same sort of operation for the state's January 5th Senate runoff, which helped to deliver control of Congress to the Democrats. Largely under the radar, according a minimum of publicity, they helped craft one of the 2020's most extraordinary political stories, the nation wrote it. They have developed a template for how, with the right kind of organization and outreach, solidly red states around the country, even those with a long history of voter suppression efforts, could be turned blue. Despite the deeply suspicious circumstances that the article brazenly confessed to, such as exploiting an IRS designation for social welfare organizations to access a vast endowment fund subsidized by hotel union fees, the left is now expressing outrage over efforts by both Arizona and Georgia to audit and verify the votes by relying on similar methods. Activist groups supported by high-powered Democrat lawyers and even Biden's Justice Department have suggested that auditors' efforts to go door to door to confirm voter residences would be tantamount to voter intimidation in violation of archaic rules such as the so-called KKK Act of 1871. Yet the nation describes some of the union-backed Democrats canvassers who relished, sorry. Yet the nation describes some of the union-backed Democrats canvassers who relished in their determination not to take no for an answer may have engaged in their own intimidation tactics. We are going to go very heavily Republican conservative. Huh? Relish. Yeah, I got that. Eventually, you'll catch it. We're going to go very heavily. We are going to go to very heavily Republican conservative areas," said John Wells, one of the campaign's field directors, whom the nation describes as a tall, skinny man with a Che Guevara-style beard and a penchant for black berets. Whatever. You get it. He likes berets and he likes them black. "We have to talk to the folks that may not think there are people, but they're experiencing the same problems," Wells said, "getting them to think that things can be different. We can have more illegal immigration. We can, have higher taxes. Sounds like fun to me. I don't know what y'all are complaining about." I don't know. Is anything going to happen with this whole voting thing? I mean, if you watch the ads here on YouTube, I've mentioned this one time before. I was watching an ad on YouTube while I was in the kitchen on my iPad, and I believe it's Stacey Abrams comes on and talks about how the Republicans are trying to suppress minority votes and, from state to state, and how we have to fight this. And you got to call your congressmen and you got to tell them to, that you don't want this and yada, yada, yada. Right? Totally misinformation. But I believe there was one guy who took the Georgia bill, or no, it was, wasn't it a reporter and a judge or something? It was on TV. Where he's like, what part of the, no, it was a bank. They're like, well, we're not gonna do business in Georgia. And he's like, okay, well, what part of the law that you think is voter suppression? Here's the law right here. What part of that is voter suppression? And the guy could not answer, would not answer. Yeah, I know, real girl, right? Let's see. Biden's border solution. We'll just fly him in from Central America. President Joe Biden and his administration think they have found a solution to the border crisis. Import immigrants directly from their home countries into the United States. The president announced plans to increase immigration into the country from Central America in a June 15th statement. Wow, I missed that one. According to the statement, the administrators is working to establish lawful pathways for individuals to migrate or seek protection, address the root cause of migration, restore fair, orderly, and humane means to apply for asylum, and deter irregular migration. So we don't want you crossing the border illegally. You know, it's hot out there. It's freaking 120-degree heat in Arizona, in Phoenix. I can only imagine how hot it is in southern Arizona. It's hotter, most likely. The press release coincides with Vice President Kamala Harris's trip to Central America, where she claims to be addressing the root cause of migration. Well, maybe it was everything you promised in your primary speeches. But in order to address those, Harris seems to suggest that we will simply bring immigrants straight into the country. The press release noted that the Department of Homeland Security has announced the availability of 6,000 temporary non-architectural worker, or H-2B, visas for nationals of Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala for FY 2021. The president also created 4,000 additional slots for refugees from Latin America and the Caribbean, which includes the Northern Triangle. According to Rob Law, isn't he an actor? The director of regulatory affairs and policy for the Center for Immigration Studies, the Biden administration is participating in predatory colonialism to benefit big corporations. Administration bureaucrats and corporate elites would like to exact much of the integrity of Central America and drop them into the United States for economic purposes, said Law. They are extracting Central Americans who could be agents of change in their home countries. Along with the direct importation of new immigrants, the Biden administration is also committed to reuniting split families in America. According to the press release, HHS has surged cases management resources to dramatically increase the rates by which children are united with their sponsors. Fake even? Maybe. Rob Law sounds like a politician name. Yeah. I think it's Rob Law. It's close to that for actual actor.
Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe. Thank you. That is it right there. Thank you, Riddle.
How many Lowe's could Rob Lowe rob and Rob Lowe could rob Lowe?
Talking about Lowe's home improvement?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. Well, we're getting through this quick. I'm getting buzzed on my phone. Let me just check this out real quick. Install later. I don't know why I have to update it all the damn time. Okay, nothing on there. Cool. 117 degrees in Phoenix right now. Hold on. Let me refresh. 115. It's only 115 degrees outside. Ooh, it's a cool front. It's going to be nice. Now, this is a very local story to us. This is very close to home. Riddle Girl wanted me to read this one. She'd been following it. I have not. I don't know anything about it. She's already has her opinion. I do not have an opinion yet. We're gonna find this out. PD, a man shot, killed by Phoenix police officer, was confronting shoplifting suspects. Right off the bat, I do know that this man who was shot and killed was trying to stop a robbery or a shoplifter, and an off-duty police officer shot him. So without even reading the story, be careful. If you decide to be a hero, this is some people that have firearms won't do this just because they don't want to take the risk. As long as they're not, coming after them personally, they're just going to let it happen because, well, this could happen. The Phoenix Police Department this week released body cam video of an off-duty officer who still had his uniform on and his camera apparently, who shot a man who was holding a gun on a man and a woman earlier this month. It happened outside of a Phoenix restaurant in the area of 15th Avenue and Camelback Road on June 3rd. Police identified the man as William Brookins and later learned that he had been confronting a pair of shoplifting suspects. According to the police, an off-duty officer who shot Brookins had just finished a shift during a traffic control not far from the scene. Sergeant Andy Williams said the officer, who was in full uniform, overheard a loud commotion and observed Brookins pointing a handgun at a man and a woman. Williams said the officer ordered Brookins to drop his gun, but the 39-year-old did not comply. Well, they've released body cam footage, so that should be on the footage. If they ordered him to drop the gun, he should have dropped the gun. He also said a woman with Brookins heard the officer give that order and shouted to Brookins that the police were there. When Brookins did not lower his weapon, the officer shot him. According to Williams, the officer activated his body camera right after firing. Convenient. Which you can see on the video. When a body cam is activated, it records video from the last 30 seconds. Okay. But there is no audio. That's why the first part of the video is silent. Audio is only recorded from the time the camera is activated. Interesting. So we don't know if he ordered him to drop the gun, do we? We're going to have to rely on witness testimony on that. Later in the clip, you can hear the officer telling the dispatcher he believed Brookins had just committed an armed robbery, police code 211, and was about to commit another one. That turned out not to be the case. Officers did what they could for Brookins until paramedics arrived and took him to the hospital. Brookins died 5 days later. Williams also noted the body camera video does not show the officer's perspective because it's not eye level. The Phoenix Police Department policy has officers wearing their body cameras at chest level. And this is the video released by the Phoenix Police Department. It's on YouTube, so it should be okay. Hopefully.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Andy Williams
Oh,
with the Phoenix Police Department.
he's going to
Public
tell us
Affairs.
about how they're right.
The information, audio, video, and pictures you're about to see are intended to provide details, as we currently understand them, of an officer-involved shooting that occurred 39-year-old.
So right there. Why I don't know if anybody is out in the streets over this, but I mean he's a black man. He's a guy who tried to stop something bad from going down, apparently, and he got shot. Where's the activist over this?
William Brookins pointing a gun at a man, drew his duty weapon, and told
All right,
motion,
let's
and
look at
observed
this.
Brookins pointing a handgun at a man and a woman. The officer approached on foot, drew his duty weapon, and told Brookins to drop the gun. A woman with Brookins who witnessed the
Supposedly.
incident also reported hearing the officer identify himself
Okay.
and tell Brookins to drop the gun. The woman also said she shouted that the police were there. Brookins did not respond to the commands, and the officer fired, striking Brookins. When an officer activates their body-worn camera, it captures 30 seconds
we read
of
all
video
that.
before the activation.
So there's no audio. Okay. Well, that's probably good for YouTube because, I wouldn't want oh, wow, it's not a
Immediately
Glock.
after the shooting, the officer advised dispatch of the incident, activated his body-worn camera.
All right, I'm not going to do any more of that. We're probably already in trouble. Williams said investigators later learned that the man and the woman who Brookins held at gunpoint had been involved in a reported shoplifting, which is now under investigation. Surveillance video from an outside camera at the business shows them running across the parking lot. Williams said that Brookins was the passenger in a vehicle that followed them to a Rally's restaurant. Brookins then confronted the pair. What did they shoplift? What did they shoplift? You followed them? Surveillance video from an outside camera at that business shows them running across the parking lot. Williams said that Brookins was the passenger in a vehicle that followed them to Rally's restaurant. Brookins then confronted the pair. That's when the off-duty officer came on scene. The edited video produced by the Phoenix Police Department includes a slowed down and stabilized version of the incident that highlights Brookins. Williams said that officer who shot Brookins is assigned to the Maryville precinct and has been with the Phoenix Police Department for 4 years. Internal and criminal investigations are underway, Williams said. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office will review the findings and determine if and how to proceed. They won't. He's going to be let go with nothing. It's just going to happen that way. And I'm surprised there is an outrage over this because he is a black individual. But at the same time, sorry, Riddle, I don't agree with you. He followed. They don't even report where they were supposedly shoplifting from, only that he followed them in a vehicle for shoplifting. He's a dumbass. Does he deserve to get shot? No, but man, he's a dumbass. If for sure, and there's no audio there, but there is witnesses that say that the police officer announced himself and told him to drop the gun, and he did not do it.
Here's my issue.
And the police officer's in uniform.
So here's my issue. I've been following this for a while. Never once did they mention that he had followed anybody until now. All right? Never once did they ever indicate that anybody else was a suspect or a problem except for him. He was the armed robber. He was the shoplifter, all the way up until this point. This is why I said it's fucked up. It's not. I don't know if the shooting was justified or not. However, I do think that the media has a responsibility to report things accurately.
True. All I'm saying is, well, we don't have the audio from the camera. Why? I don't really know. Right? They explain it. They try to explain it. And obviously, I'm no fan of the cops. However, a witness there says that the officer identified himself and told him to drop the gun. I don't know if he it's reported that he followed the individual and they're in the car. That's from the police and from this, news organization. But I believe the witness more than anything. And even if he followed, he's in the wrong. If he was told to drop the firearm and didn't, he's in the wrong. I mean, it's a shoplifting incident. Nobody's life was in danger. There's no reason to hold him at gunpoint. Well, especially to follow him. If they were robbing the rallies and he had just been there, okay, I get it. But most likely he followed them, reportedly. And if he didn't, when the officer arrived and, announced, which he supposedly did according to witnesses, he should have dropped it. He's in the wrong. And our last story of the evening, leftist comedian, it should be quotations, comedian, Sarah Silverman. She is not that funny. Even before I got, more, even before I was red pilled or whatever, however you want to call it, super into the news and all that shit, she wasn't funny. Anyway, she laments the lack of Jews in the squad members. Sarah Silverman, a comedian known for her raunchy, provocative jokes, has asked members of the squad to add a Jewish woman to their ranks, the Times of Israel reported. While Silverman said that she had a little interest in joining it herself, she expressed her desire for progressive Jewish to run the race-hustling Democratic legislators, often criticized for their anti-Semitic rhetoric. Well, we'll see. Elian Omar, I don't know. Will she be okay with it? I mean, Sarah Silverman's a Jew, but she's not practicing Jew. She's Jewish. The loose affiliation of the radical progressives include at least 5 core members. Representative Elian Omar of Minnesota, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to read all this. Silverman, a Jew herself, commented on a photo of the group recently, writing, "Love this group. If you give me hope. Wish there was a progressive Jewish in there someday." Omar responded, writing, "You could run and join us." The comedian has expressed her own far-left political views with increasing frequency in recent years. She notably supported Bernie Sanders in 2020 and has backed other radical leaders in the past. Silverman and Omar, however, would likely find themselves at odds politically. The comedian recently expressed her disappointment with the lackluster response of the U.S. lawmakers in supporting the Jews as tension escalated in the Middle East. Omar recently called Israel's actions against Palestine crimes of humanity and said she compared the U.S. and Israelis to Islamic terrorist groups, Hamas and the Taliban. Other members of the squad... How did she get elected? I don't even fucking know. She's Jewish. Yeah, Other members of the squad have collectively condemned Israel and called for lawmakers to revoke America's funding of the Middle East nation. Moderate Democrats, in turn, have expressed frustrations with the squad, especially in relation to its response of recent violence in Israel. Omar, Tlaib, and Bush are the only members of Congress to support openly the proposed boycott of Israeli funding. Well, I don't think I've ever done... Well, I still dragged it out for 36 minutes. But that's all we got for you. I hope you all, if you're watching this later, I hope you had a happy Father's Day. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do for Father's Day here. It's too damn hot to go anywhere, and of course we don't have a ton of money, so we can't really do a whole bunch. But maybe we'll grill out. Maybe I'll find me a smoker. I've been wanting to get a what is it? I always forget the name. It's a what is it? Huh? What kind of smoker? Offset. I want to get an offset smoker. They're expensive, man. They're really expensive, but I've seen a few that were on like Craigslist, but they never got back to us on all that, so I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm hoping for Father's Day. If I can get a smoker, I'll be pretty happy with that. I got a brisket, and I want to smoke it. I tried making ribs without a smoker. It was beef ribs. Made beef ribs on the grill, and it didn't work out too well because, it needs to be slow cooked. The flavor, though, of the actual meat was really, really good. It's just I need to get that fat and the membranes and all that, like broken down and shit. Anyway, I hope you all have a happy Father's Day. If this is your first time watching this on repeat, there are descriptions down below. Please go check those out. We have all the causes I believe in and support. We have all the ways you can donate to the channel if you want to. We have all the different places that you can follow me. Until I see you on Monday for the next evening catch-up. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow for a biblical Bible chat. Was it Patriotic Bible Chat? Yeah, and if I see you tomorrow for that, that'd be great. If not, I will see you again on Monday. Happy Father's Day to all my fathers out there. Until then, make sure to keep that family close. Watch out for that government and try to live as free as you possibly can. Peace.
Trading my freedom, price on my head. Well, I